we should proceed to our next presenter. I think it's not about tools this time, but it's about ubiquitous learning by our next presenter, Mr. Datu Razali Datu Eranza, who is currently a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Business, Economics and Accountancy. His presentation is titled Ubiquitous Learning Complements the 1/4 Preparation and 3/4 Theatre. And what does ubiquitous learning refers to? So maybe we can listen from Datu Razali what it is all about. Datu Razali, the screen is yours.
All right, thank you so much, Puan Salmi, the moderator today. A big thankful to Prof. Rasid as well for the kind introductions. A wake-up call by the presentations, the weeklet presentations by Prof. Feng, and also another subsequent donut presentations on about Telegram, the importance of Telegram, and just a couple of weeks ago, I do notice that a couple of students told me that we can even download videos, various videos from Telegram, so it's kind of useful. For these particular sessions of what I've been invited or nominated by the faculties, especially from Dr. Andi Tamsang, the e-learning coordinator, and our Deputy Dean of Academics, Dr. Beatrice. They selected this particular course to be presented or to be shared in these particular sessions. The first time that when I received the phone call from Dr. Andi was noonish, months ago. She said that too, your course is actually being selected for the seminar, about e-learning. I said, if e-learning, I will go for the best, the subjects that I've been teaching for more than 5 to 6 or 7 years, whereby we use a lot of tools to actually engage with the students, which I will share later on. But somehow, according to Dr. Amdi Tamsak, she stated that our TDA on that time, Dr. Beatrice Lim Fui, she was quite fascinated with the content that I have for this particular subject, which is, BA 33103, International Business Relations. So here we are on this particular wonderful day. Happy Ramadan to all of you. Ubiquitous learning complements the 1/4 preparations and 3/4 theater. So this is my presentation today. Much more of my journey and some insights. How do I actually manage the content? How do I, carefully thinking or thought, from the student's perspective when I'm preparing my notes and so on. Right, my name is Datu Razali. I'm representing our faculty, Business Economics and Accountancy, to share this particular third slot of today's third seminar on soaring above pandemic challenges at UMS. Welcome to my presentations. So the presentations outline, I made it simple, simplified it. One, of course, I will share with you what is the course background that we have on this particular subject, BA 33103, International Business Relations. What are the key terms and the concepts that, I figure out, when I'm about to teach that particular subject on that particular semester. And some insights of my 14 weeks journey, designing the content of the, Smart 3 UMS. Do note that throughout my teaching years in University of Malaysia Sabah, I've never copied or we call duplicate my Smart 3 UMS, even though it is within the same subject. So every semester, I will look at the student's profile, the background of the students. I will gauge their experience. I will try to understand their background, and will design a assignment and weekly task, tutorial task that is suitable to them based on their personality and background, and of course their their understanding from time to time. So what we have here is that these particular topics today that I'm going to discuss is about BA 33103, International Business Relations. So as you can see, the course learning outcome, if it is based on the MQF, learning domain, that will be concentrated on three learning domains, which is knowledge, scientific methods, and for elective, it is about the ethics, professionalism, and humanities, whereby for the core programs itself, HE09 International Business Program, it is about the lifelong learning. So on this particular case that we have, on that semester, semester 1, 2020-21, was actually the very first semester I was teaching this particular subject, simply because Dr. Rini was he transferred back, yeah, the original, the previous lecturer transferred back to Labuan campus, and I'm helping actually 09 international program to teach this particular subject. So what we have now is that if you look at the courses that I have conducted throughout the years, we have BT 22303, Human Resource Management and Quality Management. Most of the tasks are actually hands-on, online, and TD courses. For example, simulations, we do profilings, and of course, we do have other online tools that we are using to do like brainstormings, performance evaluations, and all. And of course, like quality management, it is all about hands-on. We do develop new products, testing a new market. We do quality inspections around the campus, safety and health, for instance. And students are actually tasked to do quality tools, and they are developing a certain type of quality tools for a certain industry. But the challenges for me is that for BA 33103, that is my very first semester teaching this particular subject on last semester itself, and these are combinations of elective students. Yeah, so we have like more than few programs that joining and taken up these particular elective programs, where most of them are actually third year students. So what we have is that or the course objective is that number one, I have to identify what are actually the keywords, yeah, the state actors, the non-state actors for the students, so that throughout the 14 weeks journey, it is all about emphasizing the context to the students. So this is important because in teaching and learning, especially in communications with audience and learners, for instance, echolalia, which means to say repetitive of a message, is important to share with them. And of course, we also identify a couple of dilemmas and the roles and functions of state powers, so that the students will be knowing that how one particular state and non-state actors are actually influencing the globalism with the state power and the non-state power that they have. So within this particular context, students should be able to assess the conflict and evaluate the issues. So from there on, I designed this whole 40 weeks journey is based on the information acquisitions and manage the knowledge that they have to ensure that the students will be able to have a certain journey to understand about the international context, international relations of this particular course itself. So what we have is that for one, okay, let's wait for a while. Okay, and then we have so based on the keywords itself, then I noticed that all of the students coming from different background, how I can ensure that all of the students are able to understand and get the accessibility to it, is that to find a platform that is ubiquitous to all. So ubiquitous, which means to say it is being present, appearing, or found everywhere. So the starting of the semesters, I started to identify what the normal platform that students will enjoy to use, and the normal platform, the common platform that they normally browse through from time to time. Because this is a third year students, this is elective subjects, and this is an international context. So less task, but to focus on the issues, and it's more of the analysis of the content and the current issues that are happening all around the globe. So ubiquitous is something that is a common ground that I have when I design this particular course instructional activities. So preparations, I do believe that the actions or process of preparing for use or considerations are important, so that when before I start my lecture, I will put up the the lecture notes and all of the access, internet access, and details on the Smart 3 UMS, so that the students will be able to gain access to it. Even even certain activities, they will have the access, from time to time, where it is we are actually doing the live stats and so on. So throughout the 14 weeks of lecture and so on, what do we do is that we always review the live stats itself. I will give you examples later on. And of course, for my lecture, 10 to 40 weeks, what happened is that I do put up my lecture as a stage or as a theater. Normally, I will have the antagonist, penjahat lah kan kita sebut tu, ataupun protagonist, yeah, which means the ideas and the actors that we follow up from time to time and throughout this 14 weeks journey. So in my very first class, the first and the second week, we created this momentum. Who is the antagonist? Who is the protagonist? And this world stage, because international business relations is more of the international state actors or political leaders or non-political leaders that actually influence and affecting the world stage itself. So my very first and second lecture is that I made the students understand or to find their favorite character, so that they can lean on that particular character and understand about the policies and all to make them attached to these international business relations contexts. So what we have is that some of the main considerations for this particular subject was actually the data plan that we have amongst the students, so that I do actually consult with them which are the platform that is the available resources for them for us to conduct lecture, because again the concentrations of this, there is a difference between the third year, and the nature of this particular subject is more of the content analysis on the international business relations context itself. So again, the data plan, we are trying to save as much as possible for the students due to the various courses that they are taking from time to time. So as you can see, my learning management system on the very first page is a welcoming note. Normally I call it as the home page to make them feel that they are at home, something that they will be leaning on, something that they like about this subject. So it's a welcoming page to them, so that they feel they are actually a bit connected to me before I start the class. And then we started to have the home button is a group chat link. Normally, I will set up WhatsApp, group chat, or else Telegram group chat. That also depending on the course program. Because myself, basically, I'm from Teras program, yeah, core courses program. So I'm not attached towards any programs in our faculty. So mostly the nature of this particular subject is that most of the students are actually elective students, so that I consulted with them which are the platform that they found easier to use and mostly their program is using. So upon agreement, we use the Telegram. So we created that particular Telegram group chat. However it is, students also have the access to contact me from time to time. Then we have a home quarantine button, whereby I do not want to miss any assessment from students. Normally, we get them to register on the group assignment. Okay, so that they will register phone numbers and so on, so that we can contact them from time to time. Then we have the daily show. Because this is an international business relations context, this is not just a one-off, study and learning process. It is a continuous, exercise, continuous understanding about the international context. So we find certain specific issues for them to focus on and to follow up from time to time. So in this particular case, we have the daily show of the 2020 United States presidential elections campaign. So we have the Trump and Biden, and of course, the students are 90.4% they favor Biden. Only about 10% they liken Donald Trump himself. So what happened is that they follow up the Reuters graphics U.S. elections result, so that from there on weekly basis we discuss about the policy, about the debate, the two U.S. Elections debate. Students will review the debate and identifying the key important issues and how those actually affecting their votes and their election results throughout the United States continent here. So you also can see that there is a statistics there. From these particular sessions, I also share with the students, because there are certain area or certain states in the United States are actually a flipping states, where it was not really expected that they will actually shift it towards the end of the presidential elections. So we keep the live stat as open as much as possible. For the midterm examinations, due to the restrictions of face-to-face meeting, even for midterm, we do prepare a certain aspects of accessibility for the notes, and of course some articles that can actually help them to understand better about the concept. And as you can see from this particular website itself, we do have a dashboard for them to look at while they are preparing for the midterm test and so on. Okay, so if the students click to the website, this is the web page that they are getting into. The current state of today, we have 148, 329, 348 confirmed cases. So 223 cases of countries involved with the cases and so on. So this is the current state of today that we have. So globally, as of today, we have 3.128 million deaths as reported to the WHO. So these are the things that I'm highlighting in my class, whereby live stats, presidential elections are actually influencing the the acting of state actors and non-state actors of big nations in this global world. So apart from that, as well, we use trendy issues like, for instance, the case study, I do focus on trendy trends like TikTok is quite popular, last year itself. So the topic itself will be based on the trendy topics. Okay, and of course, we provided the source of the links to the students. As you can see here, we have a remote control as well, so that the students will be access to the notes and keep up with the live stats that they have, live feeders on the internet, and they have the remote control also, on the world map to understand better about the geographical locations, which is important for international business relations. Those are some of the tiny little perspective that I put into considerations for students to have the access to those informations so that they can understand the whole, globalism and the conflicts that are happening all around the globe. So I think, it's much more of a preparation for the students to prepare them for the platform that, they can access, and somewhat they never thought that, it is there available on the internet from time to time. So again, the keywords here of today's topic is that it's all about accessibility, so that people are ubiquitous to my learning process itself. These are some of the examples as well, some of the links that we provided for the students based on the the power index of a nations. Yeah, if you look at Malaysia, then we are actually listed number 10 currently on this particular live stats of the power nations in that run by Lowly Institute Asia Power Index. Okay, then students also have the access to the the firepower.com, whereby this is the index that indicating on the military strength. Some website that I shared with them basically is about the economic strength, military strength, natural resources. Okay, so various of strengths are actually creating this momentum of power index. I do take up a survey from students, ask them to identify what are the powerful nations. Out of like 60 plus students who responded, mostly they selected United States, of course. 3 students selected China, and 1 student highlighted Russia itself. So there are 1 or 2 students talk about Japan itself. Yeah. So these are actually how I engage before my lecture, to gauge to understand better about the students on their understanding before I start the lecture on that particular weeks. So that is why we actually being connected to the with the students from time to time before we start the lecture. Okay, then of course Malaysia ranked number 44 based on the index by globalfirepower.com. So I do put up some important photos, historical photos. For example, on these photos we have Winston Churchill, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and of course Joseph Stalin. So all of these are actually some important figures in the past histories of whereby are not coming from the current students generations. So frankly, to them is that, who is this? Who are actually on the historical photos? Then you say, this is the photos that taken up just slightly after the World War II. So that they were thinking, who are these people? So they started to check on Winston Churchill, the Roosevelt, for example, and Stalin himself. So all of these contexts are actually very important to engage my students in this particular their behavior in this particular subject. And of course, we do have like Vladimir Putin, so the popular leaders on that particular time, because on that particular year he had this 2018 he had the 4th term inaugurations, and it is considered as the longest walk for the inaugurations. Yeah. So if you can open up YouTube, you can see that it takes a really, really, really long walk for Vladimir Putin to go for the inaugurations. Yeah, the 4th term inaugurations as the leader of Russia. So we put up again, some students, they choose Vladimir Putin as the protagonist, and some actually will be looking him at as the antagonist because of the nuclear and current, various issues and so on. So this is how we actually bring up the students to pull their interest. Yeah, of course, they have the favorite United States presidents before. Obama, we shared about the foreign policies of Obama. Then the students also compare it with the Biden and Donald Trump's policy makings. Okay, so these are some of the videos that I have actually posted on my Smart V3 UMS. Although you can see that it's just that videos on Smart 3 UMS, but I actually carefully selected the videos. I spent more than 2 hours, yeah, just to prepare that particular videos, so that to stream and to make sure that this video, each of the videos will not be more than 5 minutes, because I think it consumes data, and of course the students will not need to look at all of these videos, but they only need to find their specific interest of videos, at least 3 or 4 within a week. So out of the 20 plus videos, they have 4 weeks to review and so on. So from there on, it's actually a synchronous learning, whereby it is for their own self-study pace that they can follow up based on their study time, and of course when they have the availability of data. So the whole idea is that I make my students to be accessible to the the content itself whenever they are available. So I think I actually lean on, and I relied on that particular philosophy or my approach in teaching this particular course. Again, like what I said or mentioned earlier, this is not the same as other subjects like human resource management. We do a lot of hands-on activities, and for like quality management, we do a lot of like product testing, service testing, inspections and all. So different courses having a different approach. So for this particular subject, because this is dealing with international context, really get into the understanding of the students, into what extent they do understand about the important states in the world, and who are the state leaders that are important to them, and highlight the policy and the issues that are contradicting at the the cross continents in this world. So again, if you look at this particular website, on week 8, I talk about the international trade. We are talking not only about the the surface or the legal international trade. We also talk about the dark web, whereby it is the the torrent software that allows people to hire assassins, hire killers, drugs delivery system in Europe, for instance. So all of these actually put into context, where to get students understand that part of the legal international trades, we also have the illegal international trade that actually affects corruptions, affects human trafficking, affects the golden triangle of Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand. How actually Malaysia is actually being one of the stations for this golden triangle, these golden triangles, strategic locations for drug trafficking and all. So these are all the continuous effort to make students understand better and more in depth throughout the week, weekly basis. So this is how I approach for this particular study. And of course, on week 10, I still remember, before I start the class, I do talk about luxury brands, to get a wow, from the students. We talk about a brand that can cost a bag, Birkin bag, 30,000, 40,000, 200,000. So the students will be like, looking at bigger perspective. Wow, there are such such expensive handbags all around the globe. But then suddenly we shifted to poorer nations. So we contrast that particular gap that's all happening around the globe. We also put up like the income, the gap between the CEO, how big corporations CEO can actually can be sufficient to compensate the whole corporation's employees' salary and so on. So these are the contexts that we are looking at, how do I engage with my fellow students. And of course, this is the 12 weeks World Inequality database. We are talking about inequality, so we do provide certain life stats, worldview, country graph, and data table for the students to get access, for them to get to do assignments better. So all of these are actually to make sure that students can get engaged, and they do have the one-stop center, ubiquitous for all, for their learning process itself. And even if you are looking at the week 11 until 13, I prepared a couple of slides that are quite engaging. We have the famous journalist here from Al Jazeera, beloved, these, animals there. And of course, the 13 and 14 weeks is moving towards, the issues. How does pandemics actually cause poverty and hunger in this, cross, in this globalism? So this is how, I conducted my class. With that note, thank you so much for your listening and all. Again, I'm quite happy to share about how do I go about my whole subject that I have for this particular class, especially when this is the course that the first time that I teach, last semester itself. But we did drill down to the extent that to make sure that the students will be able to understand the international context, because lecturers, you got the opportunity to travel to overseas, for conferences, for research, and so on. But students, majority of the students probably will have the limit access to the international stage, so that I have prepared lots of resources for them to access from time to time. As what being mentioned by Dr. Andy, it is more of the content that I prepared to them instead of the tools that we are using or I use in my particular lecture sessions or throughout the activities that I have. All right, with that note, thank you very much for your attentions and such a short presentations for me. A good sharing, I think. Thank you so much. So should you have any questions, I think we will keep it at the end of the sessions, and I'll pass it back to Juan Salmi. Thank you very much. All right, thank you, TDA, for joining. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Datu
Thank you.
Razali. A very interesting presentation. I remember during our time as a student, and not so long time ago, textbook used to be the main reference. But with the IR 4.0, has given a new impetus to our educational transformation. So with this ubiquitous learning as a learning process which includes the real life experience and everyday learning environment that is supported by mobile and embedded computers and wireless networks in our everyday life. So time is changing very fast. Our time is different with our students, but thank you, Datu Razali, because this is one way of sharing that we have to change the way our teach our students so that they will learn something better than the way we learned last time. Okay,